Good morning. As we approach the noon hour here, and NBC News special report coverage of the hearings in Washington continue on television. We're going to take a moment here to talk about the Attorney General in Michigan, Dana Nessel, unveiling a plan to crack down on illegal scam calls, robocalls, that sort of thing. Don't worry, we're not going to talk about the inverted yield curve, as much as Rod Maloney, our business editor, wants to. We're going to talk about the fact that your phone goes off morning, noon, and night, and it's Black Rock, Nevada, it's Isle of Palms, South Carolina, it's somewhere overseas, and the number doesn't even register.
Or worse yet, it's a number that's close to yours that makes it look like they're from, like, for me, Commerce Township.
No, that's not phishing, but there's spoofing.
I think that's called spoofing.
So you look at the phone, you kind of do a double take because you're like, wow, that's really close to my own phone number.
Yeah, and then you say, okay, off, out, done, because unless you recognize it. And I played one on the air the other night, and I'm kicking myself now. I did kill it, but it came in Mandarin. It was actually talking to me, left me a message in Mandarin. Do you have one of those?
I've got one. This is a good one, actually. Let me see if it's right here. Phone, voicemail. If I can find San Antonio, Texas, I'll play it. Because, oh shoot, of course it's not on
there. You killed it out too, yeah. You need the space.
She started without identifying who she was calling from. Mm-hmm. Referred to herself only by...
My name is Kate, and blah, blah, blah.
Circling back around to you, like we had already had a prior conversation.
Precisely.
Very familiar, very nice.
Yeah, and by the way, that's illegal.
Yeah.
Not that it matters, but that's it.
All right, well, Americans received 5.7 billion robocalls in October, an all-time...
Think about that.
5.7 billion in just 1 month in one country across the world. All right, so this is according to UMail. This translates to over 182 million calls per day, or 2,115 per second. So the U.S. has received about 49 billion robocalls so far this year, which is more than were received during the full year of 2018, the company said. So not all calls are legal or illegal. So there are alerts from schools, police, collection agency, legal telemarketing.
Yeah, let's stop, because I think that's an important point. There are two different kinds of robocall. There's the legal one, the one that you have said okay to.
Right.
So say you want to hear from your doctor, you want to hear from your kid's school. Those are perfectly legal. You've given them permission. The other stuff, anything other than that, is illegal. And if they don't identify themselves as to who they are and what they're doing, that's I don't know if it's more illegal, but it puts it into that category where it can be prosecuted.
All right, so let's break it down by the numbers. 22% of the robocalls are alerts and reminders. Then 19% are payment reminders. Hey, your car payment's due. Telemarketing. Hey, we've got some property in Florida, Glen Ross, we want to sell you, which I watched yesterday.
Did you?
It was on Showtime. And then about half are scams, straight up scams.
And I'm surprised it's only 47%.
It is surprising.
Yeah.
And
you know what? The one thing that I didn't get a chance to expound on this when I did my piece the other day, but here's the real danger in all of this. You and I are annoyed by this, right? I see potential spam. I don't even look at it. My wife, you can't get to my wife because she won't answer anything that she doesn't automatically, instantly recognize.
Me neither.
And the thing is that sometimes you do miss calls by doing that, but it's the elderly, it's the seniors, and one of the things that they pointed out, and it is a generational thing, and you think about your grandmother, your mother, they were raised differently in that it was respectful. When the phone rings, you pick it up, you answer, and you be respectful. Well, they're preying on that, and so the seniors are the ones that are most vulnerable to this, and so they have to be trained to not pick up the phone, and that's hard.
Think about this. This was a story that I worked on more than a decade ago. You remember back in the day, you would have a phone in your living room. It's like a cradle rotary phone, right? And then you'd go to the AT&T store, Ma Bell, and get a new phone. It was like a slimline or something newer than the old, 1940s style phone. And then you wouldn't buy it; you'd rent it.
Right.
It would be taken put on your bill.
Absolutely.
There are seniors out there, as you and I sit here, still paying, that have paid $14,000 for a 1967 slimline, and that's over the course.
Because nobody said take it off.
Right. They've just been paying their phone bill for the last 50 years, and nobody's told them that you didn't have to be running that phone that entire time. So if you have an elderly parent that's been in the same home for 30, 40, 50 years, and they're still using that phone in the living room that looks like it's from 1968,
It's paid for.
You've more than paid for that phone. So, all right. So, 5 types of scams. So we're talking about half of all calls that you get that you don't know who it is. That's a scam. There are 5 types. Health related at 473 million. There you see the graphic. Interest rates 236 million. Student loans 219 million. Social security scams, 154 million, and warranty scams, 105 million. There are a lot of bad people, bad actors in the world that want to take your money and run.
I've been doing my money minutes on this recently, and it reminds me of a family member whom I will not name, who had gotten the call. Your student loans are overdue, and we're going to have you come arrested if you don't pay right now. And it so flipped her out. She went and got money and sent it. And
how much? Dare I ask?
I don't remember, but it was hundreds.
Hundreds. Okay, all right.
And so it's one of those things where if somebody is belligerent to you on the phone, the beauty of our phone system today is all you got to do is click that button. You don't need to take anything from anybody. Billy Joel, at the end of every show, says it. You don't need to take anything from anybody. If somebody's being belligerent to you, threatening you, saying you're going to be arrested, your power's going to get turned off, they're going to, my new favorite one, the one we just did in the Money Minute, was they're going to take your Social Security number away.
What? That sounds scary. That sounds scary, right?
What they do is they prey on you not knowing for sure. And so, we're going to take your Social Security number, we're going to have you arrested, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. All of it's false, all of it's faulty, and just hang up on these people because that's the only legitimate recourse.
So robocalls are simply pre-recorded messages received by phone. They might try to convince you there's a prize to claim or that you're overdoing your loans, like Rod said. There's one that the message is in Chinese and it targets Asian Americans and makes threats about their immigration status. And they're no longer bound by landlines. They can do this on your mobile phone and get to you that way as well. Thousands of calls a day. All you need is a few people to fall for the scam.
And they're making money.
And they're making money.
And they're working out of a boiler room somewhere, probably in India, because when we chased down the one that my family member had, I called, I think it was called Washington, and they said that there are these boiler rooms where they just sit there all day, and they just berate and berate and berate, and the money just flows and flows and flows. You do not, like the IRS does not take money from Kroger, gift cards, Walmart.
If it sounds
CVS.
shady, it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Call a family member. Call Help Me Hank. Do something.
Yeah. Oh, and one other thing. One thing that strikes me. Oh, well, we're having our picture taken. Yeah, I turned it sideways. I had a thought and I lost it.
It's because Colthorpe walked up and took a picture of you.
Yeah, he did. Well.
All right, last year a Florida man was fined $120 million for setting up a program that made nearly 100 million robocalls between 2015 and 2016. Adrian Abramovich's scheme involved making calls offering vacation deals from well-known travel companies like TripAdvisor or Expedia, according to the FCC.
Wasn't he from around here, or was he the email
I'm not sure.
guy? We had a guy locally.
We had a guy locally that was the spam king.
Yeah, the spam king.
Right. Robocalls to non-consenting individuals are already illegal under the Telephone Consumer Protection Act of 1991, and violators can be fined millions. That's like
If they
500.
can catch 'em.
Yeah, if they can get them.
Yeah. That was the one thing that Dana Nessel's office talked about. They are now getting into the business of monitoring.
They're cracking down.
A
dozen initiatives.
We did. Look at point and laugh funny. Thank you very much. That was our boss, by the way, just walking by. The one thing is that if you go online, in fact, we have it linked at clickondetroit.com. I don't know how to find it, but it is the information from the state of Michigan where you can go, and there are a couple of things you can do on this website. The first one is put yourself on the do not call list. I did that the other day. And you get an email back saying that you're on the list. Not that it matters, because if you talk to people who are on the list, they go, I'm on the list, my phone still rings. And so the second thing you can do on this website is to go in and register and you make a complaint. In other words, like if you get a phone call from somebody, you can go on that website and then you can write in to that website the phone number that called you so that they can go and start monitoring that phone number. And they're going to have teams now looking at phone numbers where they can go in and try and chase these spam people down.
There are also apps available. Mashable recommends Haya as the best free app, and Nomo Robo as the best paid app, and Umail as the best app for business. Nomo Robo. It's kind of fun. Oh, and incidentally, this has nothing whatsoever to do with robocalls, but it does have to do with robo bill pay. I don't know what triggered it this morning, but I found myself on my insurance provider's website that I had not registered for. So I type in my information, and they call up my policy. Now I can see what my agent can see. And I'm looking, I'm like, man, that seems excessively high, how much I'm paying every month on an auto debit. Long story short, a house that we sold almost 2.5 years ago, they were still insuring it, robo-insuring this house.
Really?
That we have not owned since June of 2017.
Did they not get the message somewhere? Or
He has no, I called my agent right away, and he has no documentation at all from the state, from the agent, from us, from the prior agent. There's nothing there that shows that the house was sold.
Have they been debiting the account?
Yeah, that's why I'm
So you're going to
saying.
get your money back.
Well, you would presume. I mean, he did mention the word refund.
Yeah.
I have to get him paperwork that shows that we indeed sold that house. And then he's going to turn around and go to the company and be like, hey, this guy's been, for the last 28 months, he's been paying X number of dollars per month.
Well, so where are you going on vacation?
Taryn?
Here we go. Yes, honey.
All right, so to put a bow on things, Rob Maloney, Jay Sakara, if you have any questions, of course, you can always go to clickondetroit.com, and we have the information that Brian was throwing up on the screen there a minute ago. Otherwise, keep the conversation going, and we'll see you next time.
Have a good day.